warm-up for you. Sing along if you're ready. I'm going to lay down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside.
I'm gonna lay down my burden,
down by the riverside, gonna live in peace forevermore. I am living in peace evermore. 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 I am living in peace evermore.
my heart belongs.
Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside,
My heart belongs.
down by the riverside, gonna live in peace forevermore.
I am
Living in peace evermore. I am living in peace evermore. I am living in peace evermore. I am living in peace evermore. I am living in peace evermore. I am living in peace evermore.
I am let my worries wash away.
Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside,
Let my worries wash away.
down by the riverside, gonna live in peace forevermore.
I am
Living in peace evermore. I am living in peace evermore. I am living in peace evermore. I am living in peace evermore. I am living in peace evermore. I am living in peace evermore. I am living in peace evermore. I am living in peace evermore.
yes.
Good morning and welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. We are so excited to have you here, and we have a beautiful guest speaker you're going to hear about later. And please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing, Calling Forth the Light.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We are calling forth the light. We are calling forth the light of God. We are calling forth the light. It shines in you. It shines in me. It shines right now for eternity. We are calling for the peace. We are calling for the peace of God. We are calling for the peace. It shines in you. It shines in me. It shines right now for eternity.
Joy.
We are calling for the joy. We are calling for the joy of God. We are calling for the joy. It shines in you. It shines in me. It shines right now for eternity.
My favorite part.
It shines in you. It shines in me. It shines right now for eternity. We are calling for the light. We are calling for the light of God. We are
shines in me. It shines right now for eternity.
Thank you. Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. My name is Carl Jansen. So glad to have everybody here on this kind of quasi-strange day of weather. This is May, right? It's not March or some other time. I want to thank our featured artist, Starlight, for leading us in song. And we have our great backup band, David, Brian, and Larry. Thank you guys for sharing your music with us. I invite you to turn your cell phone to silence as we enjoy this sacred time together. Please join me in turning to the camera and waving hello to our friends at home. Your presence adds to our spiritual community, and we appreciate you. I'm very happy to say that today Rita Marie Johnson will be our guest speaker. Rita Marie has been a Unity minister since 1991. She's an educator, author, speaker, and award-winning innovator. Rita Marie created the Be Peace Connection practice, I'm hearing a phone over here or something, which accelerates personal, professional, and spiritual growth. The Connection practice has impacted more than 100,000 students in Costa Rica and throughout the world. Rita Marie initiated a bill for a ministry of peace in Costa Rica in 2006, and it passed in 2009. Wouldn't that be nice to have that here? In 2010, Rita Marie began to teach Be Peace Practice Foundations course at the United Nations University for Peace, a graduate school for international leaders. She currently serves as CEO of Reserve Foundation International. Rita Marie has visited us many times, and we're always blessed to have her join us. So please join me again in welcoming Rita Marie Johnson. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. At Unity of Walnut Creek, our mission is in loving community. We empower spiritual growth by modeling and teaching universal spiritual principles. I invite you to join me in affirming our statement of faith. Together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. As we welcome our newcomers, I invite the ushers to come forward. If you are with us for the first time, please raise your hand so an usher may bring you a welcome packet. If you would rather, you may pick up a packet at the welcome table on the patio. There is a connection card in your packet. Please take it to our bookstore to receive a special gift. We hope you'll choose to stay with us and meet some of our people on the patio after the service. Connection cards are available for everyone in the seat pockets in front of you. With this card, you may submit a prayer request, and our prayer team will pray with you throughout the week. You may also share feedback or request information. Please place your cards in the basket along with the offering. And now let's take some time to greet the people immediately around you.
How could anyone ever tell you You were less than whole. How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Please sing along.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How deeply you're connected to my soul.
We have a lot of fun things coming up in the immediate future here at Unity of Walnut Creek. We have a modern mystic, Mary Reed, with us this Tuesday night. Is there a special video? Yes, yay. Was it at the 9:30? Not so special video, but right now. This is Mary.
Didn't mean to do this. I wanted to be a backup dancer for Michael Jackson, so this whole mystical thing is a huge surprise to me. But I have a lot of really interesting things to say. Hello, hello, Unity of Walnut Creek. This is Mary Reed. I'm coming to you from my home outside of Washington, D.C., where I'm getting ready to leave shortly to start my events on the West Coast, which means that I'm coming to see you soon. I will be there on Tuesday night. What is it? It's May 21st, I think. And I'm very excited. I love meeting new communities. For those of you who don't know me, I'm an accidental mystic. I didn't mean to do this. I wanted to be a backup dancer for Michael Jackson, so this whole mystical thing is a huge surprise to me. But I have a lot of really interesting things to say about my experiences for the last 18 years of these unexpected abilities. And it's about how it all applies to what's happening in our world today, and offers some extraordinary perspectives that I think are helpful to a lot of people. So I look forward to seeing you then, and in the meantime, if you want to find out more about who I am, you can check out my book, Unwitting Mystic, either through Kristen at the bookstore or online at Amazon. All right, and I look forward to seeing you then soon. Namaste, namaste.
You can pre-register in the bookstore and avoid the lines on Tuesday night. Unity is having a Self-Care for Women Day next Saturday. We will have mini classes, yes, for women. Are there any women in the audience? We will have mini classes and pampering services to nurture and stretch women's minds and bodies. So please see Lisa Nichols on the patio to purchase gift certificates for the mini pampering services, which you can gift to a loved one or use yourself. We are having a potluck and mini concert by Mark Stanton Welsh next Sunday at 1 o'clock. Oh, yeah. Please bring a dish to share as we celebrate our 6 graduating YRU members. Mark Stanton Welsh will also have a house concert in the afternoon that you may sign up for in the bookstore today. Please see your bulletin for information about these and other events at our center. And now I'd like to invite Pam Awesome to the platform.
Hello, everyone. We're really excited to have Roland McCready here today for workshop. Many of you have requested that we bring him back, and he has decided to come. He's an internationally recognized speaker, so for us to get him here is quite the honor. Roland's work started in 1991 with the founder of HeartMath, Doc Childre, and he did the research to back up the scientifically based HeartMath tools and techniques in the HeartMath system. What he's been working on lately is what we're going to hear about today. He, as the Director of Research and the Global Coherence Initiative, has been working on research about how our human electromagnetic fields through the heart interact with the planet's electromagnetic fields. So what he's going to share with us today is how we can affect the coherence levels and the peace and harmony with one another and within our community to raise our community intentions together. So I hope you'll come and join us. I won't go over all of his amazing academic and scientific accomplishments. You can Google them if you want and spend a day at it, but please come and join us. I invite you to get your tickets in the bookstore beforehand, because you don't want to stand out in the rain in case it's raining. So the bookstore has tickets available after the service. Thank you all, and I hope to see you all there at 2 o'clock.
To prepare for meditation, I invite Rita Marie and a prayer chaplain, is it Susan, to come to the platform.
Happy, odd middle of May, everyone. And today, this is so perfect. Our topic for the prayer today is communication. The great leader Nelson Mandela has been credited with saying, if you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. I want to be the person who talks to others in the way that is most meaningful to them. I want to touch hearts of others with my words and actions. To prepare my mind and heart for effective communication, I turn to God in prayer. I am guided in my interactions with others and express myself with ease and confidence, ever mindful of their feelings. I am an effective communicator, a voice of love, compassion, and respect. The scripture is, accept my words, making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your heart to understanding. Proverbs 2:1 and 2.
I forgive me. I forgive me. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender. I surrender. I'm ready for my change. I forgive me. I forgive me. Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender. I surrender. I'm ready for my change. I forgive me.
to begin my meditations in this way, I invite you to repeat after me. Infinite Spirit of all that is. Infinite Spirit of all that is. You are always with me. You are always with me. I am the light of the world. I am the light of the world. Now I invite you to get comfortable in your chairs. Just give your full body weight to the chair. And focusing down into those beautiful hearts. I invite you to just drop all of your energy, your attention, down into the heart we go. Breathing into the one heart, the one presence, the one power. Breathing more deeply. Just letting it out, friends. Any tension from your week, let's release right into the love. Just letting go into the love. Just allowing ourselves to feel it right here, right now. Letting it in. In this divine energy field where we feel safe, where we feel loved. I invite you to bring to mind a memory from your childhood when you felt safe, when you felt like you didn't have a care in the world. Perhaps you were lying in the grass looking up at the clouds, or playing with a pet, or sitting on someone's lap, getting a hug. Whatever it is for you, just take a moment to access that happy memory of deep, content, safety. And then fully feel into that memory. Feel into being safe in the arms of Spirit. Feeling free of care. Having it feel so natural. It's just the way it is. I am safe in the arms of God. I am safe in the wisdom, the love of Spirit. Let's move into the silence. Just going deep into that feeling, into the awareness of how safe we truly are. And now now coming out of the silence. Let's continue to hold that deep feeling of safety, a natural state of happiness. And let's whisper to the children of the world, you are safe in the arms of Spirit. You are safe in the arms of Spirit. Blessing all the children in the world with a sense of safety and being loved. So it is. I forgive me. I forgive me.
Everything that I've been holding on to, I let go. I surrender. I surrender. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change. I'm ready for my change.
Carl, could you move this toward the middle more? Thank you. Yeah, we can push the chair back and move it to the other side, like right here. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sometimes
sorry.
we get the sequence together here.
Gladly walk across the desert with no shoes upon my feet. Share with you the last bite of bread I had to eat. I would swim out to save you in your sea of broken dreams. When all your hopes are sinking, let me show you what love means. Love will build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love will build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? I would whisper love so loudly every heart would understand that love and only love can join the tribes of man. I would give my heart's desire so that you might see. The first step is to realize that it all begins with you and me. Love will build a bridge between your heart and mine. Love will build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? When we stand together, it's our finest hour. We can do anything, anything. Keep believing in the power of love. Keep believing between your heart and mine. Love and only love. Love will build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? you think it's time? Don't you think it's time?
Love and only love.
Love and only love.
Love and only love.
Love and only love. Love and only love.
I wouldn't have wanted to miss that. Good morning again. So happy to be here. Always love coming back to Unity of Walnut Creek. So, last week, I heard a man talking about his childhood. He said, I was watching TV, and I saw this commercial. And it said, if you're having a problem with your mama whipping you, call this 800 number. So I called the number. My mama answered the phone. So we laugh, but you know, underneath that joke, I think that we have some tears. You feel it? You know, the sadness of child abuse and neglect. Almost all of us have been touched by that in some way. Maybe we've experienced it in our own lives, or we've witnessed it and wish that we could do something about it. How many of you have been in one of those positions? Can I see your hands seriously? So today I want to share a little bit about my experience with child abuse. And I know that this is not something that I've talked about before when I've been here at Unity of Walnut Creek. Many of you have known me personally for over 10 years. And some of you just know me as the creator of the Connection Practice. So before I go any further, just to kind of frame this message, for those of you who don't know the Connection Practice, it's a combination of empathy and insight that empowers you to meet any challenge coming your way in life. So, in talking to you over the years, one of the stories I know I must have shared is that when I was 10 years old, I was walking down the country road in front of my home in Missouri, and I had this experience where I saw this lovely sunset, and my heart filled up, and my inner voice said, "And you will work for peace." That's been my North Star. So I've shared that many times over the years, and that's the thing that's worked in my life, is to work for peace. You know, eventually I created the Connection Practice as my way of working for peace. Everybody has their own way of showing up for peace, and the Connection Practice became my way. But in all the years that I talked about connection and developed this practice, I never called connection a movement. But you're going to hear me later in this message introduce the idea of connection as a movement. And I'll be telling you why. So I didn't think of it before. I didn't refer to connection as a movement. And I've got Connection Practice trainers here in the room, and they're just hearing this out of my mouth for the first time. I didn't ever really do that because I wasn't ready for that, because I had not yet become conscious of the power of the abuse in my childhood. I'd always talked about the upside,
this beautiful message coming through my heart to work for peace. I'd never talked about the other side of my life, which wasn't a complete disaster, let's say. I'm not saying that I had a tremendous amount of abuse, but my mom had a lot of pain, a lot of unresolved pain. And for a lot of the time, she was a good mom, and sometimes she was a great mom. But at times, her pain came out at me as abuse, mostly emotional abuse, very little physical abuse, but pretty rough emotional abuse. So because of that abuse, I was really desperate for my mom's love. And I wanted it so badly that one day when she picked me up from school, I had a little cold. So when I got in the car, I was coughing a little bit, and my mom noticed. And so I thought, wow, she noticed. Well, let's just exaggerate that cough. So I coughed harder. I coughed until I threw up. And that really got her attention. And so I thought, wow, this is really working out. And so I kept doing it. I kept coughing until I'd throw up over and over and over again. Then suddenly I found myself in the hospital. How'd this happen? Well, I knew, but they didn't. You know, they could not figure out what was going on. So I just stopped doing it. It scared me so much that I stopped. And I just was discharged and went home. But the emotional abuse continued, and I decided to try a different strategy, rebelling. So I started talking back at my mom. That didn't go over so well. Yeah, I became a problem, more of a problem to her than I had been. So she took me to a counselor to straighten me out. So when we went to the counselor, he talked with us separately. And after doing that, he took me aside and he said, you know, you seem mature for your age, but your mom is in a lot of emotional pain. And I'm just wondering if you could be more compassionate with her. Okay, I said. Okay. So I became more compassionate with my mom. I can't say it was a truly authentic compassion. But I became more compassionate by stuffing my feelings and needs, my own feelings and needs. And so on the surface, it looked like I'd improved my behavior. I was a good girl now. But stuffing my feelings and needs took quite a toll on my life. You know, stuffing your feelings and needs disconnects you from yourself. Anybody else notice that? So I turned into a big pleaser. You know, so much so that I was actually kind of robotic at times. I remember I went into a grocery store as an adult with a friend, and he said to me, "What's wrong with you? You know, why are you so shut down?" And then I realized that when I went into a grocery store as a kid, that I just kind of went into robot mode waiting for mom's orders. Go get that, keep your mouth shut, and just do what you're told. And so when I'd walked in that grocery store, I guess I just went into that scared little girl again, waiting for orders from my friend. So when I looked at it, I could see it was a very odd behavior for an adult, and that I needed to wake up and really get conscious when I walk in a grocery store so that that simple act wouldn't trigger me into this old behavior anymore. So it's true that my inner voice caused me to live a life of peace, working for peace. But what I didn't realize, friends, until just recently, is that pain of that emotional abuse was also driving me to create a life of peace. You see what I'm saying? The light and the dark driving me to create a way to peace, a practical way to live in peace here, to live in peace here. So in all those years, I didn't realize this pain was contributing to my passion for peace. So you might wonder, what was it, Rita Marie, that woke you up to that? What was it that made me realize this was an important part of that drive? Well, it was a very stirring TED Talk from a woman named Nadine Burke Harris. Anybody heard of her? She's a pediatrician from Berkeley, and she did a TED Talk on something called ACEs. ACEs stand for Adverse Childhood Experiences. And she moved me so with this TED Talk. She talked about this Dr. Vince Ferrati, who originally did the study on ACEs back in the 90s. And he did a questionnaire with 17,500 people. This is it. 10 questions about what happened in your childhood. So let's just look at some of these questions. Did a parent or other adult in your household physically abuse you, emotionally abuse you, sexually abuse you, go to prison? Was your mother ever hit? Did you often go hungry? Were your parents divorced, or did they engage in substance abuse? After asking all these people these questions, they found that 67% of the people had at least one ACE, at least one of these. They found that 1 in 8 had 4 or more ACEs. 1 in 8. Think about that in this room, friends. Is there one person in 8 of us that had a really tough childhood? Probably so. They also found then that when they linked this study with adult disease, that people with high ACEs scores had triple the risk of heart disease and cancer. And even more significant to me is that they had a decrease in life expectancy of 20 years. 20 years off their life because of that difficult childhood. So the higher the ACE score, the worse the health outcomes. Think about it. Think about how that ripples out into our society. The cost on all levels of that. The cost to our health and the financial cost. Look at the economic cost of having this kind of child abuse and neglect going on in our world. So Nadine concluded that ACEs are the greatest unaddressed public health threat in our time. That makes sense to you now after thinking about this? But the good news, friends, the good news is Governor Newsom just appointed Nadine as the first ever Surgeon General of California. This just happened in January, and she's going to use this post to crusade to stop ACEs. So this is a hot topic, friends. It's something that's really becoming known. You know, when I talk to people, oh yeah, I've heard of ACEs. Is there anybody here that had heard of this, ACEs? Yeah, I see a few. Okay. So because of Nadine's TED Talk, I began to look more closely at my ACEs. I had explored them somewhat. I had talked to people about what I'd experienced in my childhood. So it wasn't that I'd completely been unconscious about it. But at the same time, something about Nadine revealing all these facts made me take another look. And so now I fully owned them. I fully owned that I had emotional abuse in my childhood. But what I realized is that because of creating the connection practice, even though I hadn't named it, I never thought of myself as being abused. I never thought of myself as an at-risk kid. And I was, but because of doing the connection practice, I've been healing it all along. You see? I didn't even have to admit it, but I've still been healing it. So I no longer stuff my feelings and needs. I think the people who know me would agree with that. And it's not that I blast people either. You know, this is the pattern that we've learned to stuff or blah, right? What if we learned to masterfully manage, right? So we can be our best selves. So now, when I have a negative feeling, or I have a little tension with somebody in my life, or feel like there's going to be a conflict, something's going on, I go immediately to my refrigerator. Not to eat compulsively, which I can also do pretty well. I'm getting better at that, though, because of the connection practice, I have to say. Anyway, I go to my refrigerator because I have these boards now on my refrigerator. So let's say, you know, I get a little frustrated, something happens, even something as simple as technology being a big problem during my day. Anybody relate to that? Yeah. Yeah. Or let's say that somebody, you know, I depended on somebody to keep an agreement. Maybe they didn't pay me back or something like that. I'm just saying this off the top of my head. Let's just say that somebody disappointed me. And so I go to my refrigerator and I go, yeah, I got this negative feeling. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling resentful. And I'm feeling kind of hurt. You know, I really trusted this person. And what are my needs? Well, I need fairness. I need honesty. I need respect. Okay. And of those, which is my main need? Well, let's say fairness. Okay. And then I would go on to guess what this person was feeling and needing. That's the empathy piece. The first piece is self-empathy. Second piece is empathy for the other. So I'm right away nailing it, friends. You get it? I'm addressing it. I'm opening my heart to the other person. Then I move into coherence. How many of you know what coherence is in this congregation? Almost everybody knows, because this is how we get in sync, how we can really get in touch with our highest and best intelligence, which is spirit. So I move into coherence, and I ask, what do I need to know about this situation with this person that didn't pay me back as agreed? Listen inside, get an insight. You see? Instead of spending 10 years thinking about how this person did me wrong, I can get cleaned out 5 minutes. So, yeah, it's pretty amazing. Somebody in the first service said, cool. Yeah, cool. So now, you know, I, like I said, use the boards on the refrigerator. And if my partner Ricardo here and I have any tension come up, we just pull those boards right off the refrigerator, put them on the dining room table, boom, 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 boom. Wouldn't it be great to evolve faster, friends? Not only heal from our childhoods, but just evolve faster? Get better and better at transforming whatever comes our way? So, now when I go to coach somebody using the connection practice, I put the boards in front of us, and I take them through it, and when we're done, they can do it themselves, because it's self-empowering, you see. Every step is self-empowering. Nobody's telling that person what to do, how to feel, what they need. It's completely self-empowered, getting to self-empathy, empathy, and the creativity of spirit, our insights. So when Nadine closed her TED Talk, one of the things that she said is that she'd had a big learning about the fact that she thought everybody was going to be enthusiastically jumping on the bandwagon of stopping ACEs, and gosh, they didn't. She's been talking all over the country, you know, wanting people to get behind it with their money, with their programs and everything, and she was really deeply disappointed. So don't you think that that happens because people think this problem is so big, it's been with us forever, and it's just really not resolvable? You know, we just kind of have to settle for the fact that, you know, child abuse and neglect is always going to go on. And Nadine doesn't think that. You know, she's working to have early screening for ACEs of all children to try to prevent further harm. But the problem is pretty overwhelming. You know, I talked to guidance counselors at a big conference for guidance counselors on student mental wellness in Sacramento in January. And the guidance counselors tell me that the numbers of at-risk kids are increasing. And there's no way there's ever going to be enough counselors for all of them, to help all of them. They try, you know, one by one, they're helping kids, but they're completely overwhelmed and they don't see an answer in sight. And again, it's just like, helpless, overwhelmed. This is just too big a problem. We can't solve it. But what if we really faced where the problem begins? Isn't it that we have to heal the ACEs of the parents' childhoods? Right? Isn't that where we have to start? I mean, we can screen, and I'm all for that, and I stand fully with Nadine on whatever we can do to put a stop to ACEs. But what we really have to do is heal it in us adults. Isn't that right? Then we won't be passing this generational pain on to kids. So the most practical answer that I've ever found in all my years of working for peace, consciously and unconsciously, is the connection practice boards in the home. Just imagine if we taught every kid how to manage their inner lives, how to get to that empathy, how to get to that insight, how to resolve a conflict in a conscious way instead of or, right? Right there in the home. Because in my experience, we need something that is visual and tactile in front of our faces so that we know what to do instead of slipping back into the old stuff. Does that make sense to you? All right, so we know this connection practice is scientifically based, but it's also spiritually profound. Really what we're teaching, friends, is how to live from the intersection of your wisdom and compassion. I teach it to secular audiences as empathy and insight. Empathy equals compassion, insight equals wisdom. What we're teaching families, friends, is how to live from the intersection of wisdom and compassion in us, two of our greatest strengths. That's what's going to be the how-to that will replace this and this. Don't we need that? We need to know exactly what to do when we have emotional upsets in the home or actually at work or anywhere. But we're focusing in on the home. Now, one of the steps of the connection practice is coherence, as I mentioned. And wouldn't it be something if we could just teach the world coherence? Yes. So I want to give you an example of that. When I was teaching the connection practice at a peace conference in Vancouver, I was teaching using the M-Wave software where you have to put a little sensor on your ear and then the coherence wave shows up on the screen and the software measures your coherence. And so I asked for a volunteer to come up to put that sensor on the ear. So this woman named Sandy comes up and I put the sensor on her ear. And the first thing I do when I'm doing this demonstration is I try to stress the person out so we can, yeah, I know it's kind of cruel, but I try to stress them so that we can see the difference, you see, between the stress wave and the coherent wave. Okay, so I try to stress her out by asking her to count backwards from 100 by eights, subtracting. Yeah, so, you know, she kind of struggled with the subtraction, but she did not move off of high coherence. She was in high coherence. You know, the software measures if you're in low, medium, or high. She was in high coherence the entire time, 100% on the graph, high coherence. So, you know, this is very unusual because when you are up there in front of 50 people in this workshop, your whole inner life is out there on the screen for all these people. You don't know them, and they're all seeing right inside you. And so usually people don't do well. You know, they usually are stressed. So anyway, I asked Sandy at the end of the workshop how in the world she was able to stay in high coherence without ever having learned it. You know, she didn't know heart math. And she said, well, I came from a very dysfunctional family. I was battered. I was left in the closet in the dark without food and water for long periods of time. But when I was in the closet, somehow I stumbled onto what you're teaching. I stumbled on that feeling of being able to stay in coherence. And once I discovered it, I held on to it for dear life. That was how I survived. And that's how I'm a happy, healthy adult today. Right? Doesn't that give us hope? Instead of settling for adverse childhood experiences? So I shared that example once with a psychologist, and he said, oh, that couldn't be. That's not how it works. I said, well, I witnessed it, you know, but we know it works, don't we? We know it works because we know when we get coherent, we get to spirit. We get ourselves out of the way when we get coherent, and we are in that spiritual energy. And what happens when we're in that energy, friends, is we get healed. Isn't that right? So this young person healed herself in the closet over and over and over again in her childhood. She had to heal herself by tapping into spirit. So we know that many people do overcome childhood adverse experiences, ACEs, by getting really in touch with their spiritual identity. That the childhood experiences were just temporary. That's not their real identity. Isn't that right? So don't we live that, friends, here in Unity? Isn't that what we're all about, is living from our spiritual identity? And we know there's all kinds of therapies and spiritual methods that help us to heal. Connection practice is not the only one. But what I have found is that I need it in front of my face to escalate my growth, to heal from the emotional abuse of my past, and to keep going strong. I love having it in front of my face. It is just so efficient and so liberating that I'm cleaning myself out continually of any negative feeling that comes along. So it's quite fabulous, I have to say. It is really fabulous. Because the boards, friends, you see, bring this huge challenge of ACEs down to size, into something that parents can actually know how to do exactly to live connected. To live connected instead of disconnected. I had an example not too long ago. I had a woman come to me. She was in a heck of a mess. Emotional, legal, financial. She thought a government employee was out to get her. So had this great big problem. We sat down at the table, had the boards there, and she did her own feelings and needs. Her main need was emotional safety. This guy had scared her by coming into her life. Then she guessed his feelings and needs. It was a big aha that she guessed his main need was respect. Oh, then she goes into coherence and she asks, what do I need to know about this? She gets an insight. Oh, I see it now. I never once gave him respect. The moment he came into my life, I was so scared, I just pushed him away. I didn't do what he asked me to do, and I just have never shown him respect. And so what came to me in coherence is I think I can just make a phone call and just tell him how, I got scared and I'm so sorry that I wasn't respectful and that I'm willing to start over and tell me what to do, and I'm willing to talk about that and see what we need to do here. You see? I keep getting amazed by it myself, I have to tell you. It just takes me to awe continually. So friends, returning to ACEs. ACEs are an internal disconnect and an external disconnect. Isn't that right? We're disconnected from our best self. And so to reverse that disconnection, we need connection to be a movement. We need to make connection a movement because we need to raise the awareness and we need to teach people exactly what to do. A movement that not only inspires hope, but delivers on it, delivers on that hope. We can't have false hope anymore, right? We need something that's actually going to deliver. Not that there's nothing else that delivers. Please don't think I'm implying that. But we need something that works consistently, efficiently, moves us forward with greater ease and speed. So, friends, I know that we can deliver this kind of movement. I know that we can change generational pain into generational peace. I know because now I have authentic connection with my mom, authentic compassion for my mom. Authentic compassion, not something that was stuffed down and forced. You know what I'm saying? That's not really compassion. But I have authentic compassion. I turned generational pain into generational peace. And I know that every human being can do that. And I want to see parents and grandparents everywhere learning how to do this, teaching it to the children, so that we can have a generation that knows how to manage their inner lives, and then they'll really change the world. So I'm 100% committed to leading the connection movement and putting a stop to ACEs. But I'm not the only one leading. We've got connection practice trainers like Carolyn here, working with children and parents to teach them how to create harmony at home, put a stop to those adverse childhood experiences. So every person who learns the connection practice can be a leader because they can pass it on to the next person. It's easy to lead when you know what to do. So I'm just curious, since I know that Unity folks are all about oneness and that living in connection is just actualized oneness. Isn't that right? I'm just curious on a scale of 1 to 10 how committed you are. I'm guessing you're all 10s, but I don't want to assume anything. So I'm just curious how many of you are 10s in terms of your commitment to living that oneness as actualized connection. Can I see? Are you a 10? Committed to living out of that oneness in a very grounded, reliable, consistent, embodied way. So you see all those 10s out there? I thank God for you. I thank God for you and all the people in the Unity movement who understand that connection is actualized oneness, inside and out. So friends, we can create a world without ACEs. Isn't that right? We can bring this big thing down to size. We can ground it in a tactile daily habit. So I just have to close by saying, it's always so hard for me to say. It really gets me every time I try to say it. And that is that unity has been the wind beneath the wings of the connection practice. And I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rita Marie. That was great. I have to say for myself, among other things, working with the connection practices have been an avenue to learn empathy. Some people say, oh, yeah, I'd like to be more empathetic, but how do you do it other than just trying to figure it out and force it? So it's been a real great learning thing for me, like I say, among other things. Our prayer chaplains are available after the service to provide personal prayer support. If you're a prayer chaplain serving today, please stand. Our prayer chaplains are wearing the lavender stoles. So whether you have a concern in your heart today or a joy, praying with our prayer chaplains is a powerful opportunity to have your intentions lifted up in consciousness. Now let's open our hearts to the practice of giving. I invite you to prepare your gifts as we align with the universal law of circulation. As we give, we shall receive, because in truth there is no lack or limitation, and abundance is our true nature. For your convenience, there are a variety of ways to give financially to this community. For electronic giving, you can download an app called Give, which is spelled G-Y-V-E. And over the next month, really the balance of May, we'll continue to use PushPay until the 31st. Or you can take an envelope from the clipboard on the back of the chair in front of you. Those of you at home can click on the Give Here or Donate button on the Watch Live page. I invite you to take your tithe or offering in your hand and repeat our affirmation with me. Together, divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful.
Sorry.
It's nice when we all play in the same key.
All right. Let's get free. Breaking down the walls that were holding me in place. I'm free, breaking out of the jail that was made by me. 'Cause I opened up the door with my very own key. Thank you, God, I'm free. I'm really done feeling small. Now I'm not afraid that I'll fall. Putting on some shoes that are shiny and new. with my very own key. Thank you, God, I'm free. Now I claim my liberty. I claim my prosperity. Stepping out and walking tall. Now I know I'm one with it all. I'm free, I'm free, I'm free. I'm free, I'm free, I'm free. I'm free. I'm free.
No kids yet.
First, we're going to bless our offerings.
As we bless this offering, we bless the giver and the gift, that it may go forth and multiply and increase the good in our lives and the lives of those we touch. Together, we give thanks for the ever-increasing, unceasing flow of absolute good in our lives now. Now the children.
We are marching in the light of God. 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 We are marching, marching, we are marching, marching, we are marching in the light of God. We are marching, marching, we are marching, marching, we are marching in the light of God.
So Gina has our kids today. Gina, you have anything to share with us?
Yeah, so today we were learning about how everybody carries an invisible bucket. And so do you guys want to tell everyone how you can fill up those buckets?
If you do something kind for somebody, you'll fill up your bucket. By helping somebody when they fall.
All right.
Can you give an example of an act of kindness?
When somebody tell you to help them,
Yeah.
All right.
Now let's bless our young people together. Children, youth, and teachers, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you. And let's join our hands together as we say our prayer of protection, followed by the peace song. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The power of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine. And now our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God ever present.
You are the light and the love and the peace on the earth right now. So let your light shine and have fun. I love you guys. I love you guys. Harry.